Pastor's Wife Designs, and I'm super excited to be joining you guys today to show you how to make a really great, fun steampunk card. And the card that I want to show you today is this great card. It is created with some of our own sets, and this is just the first in a series. And I am super excited that you're going to join me, so let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started on this steampunk card that I wanted to teach you how to make. First thing that we're going to do is we're going to make sure we have the stamps that we want on hand. For this particular card, I used a lot of sets, but I've got some videos coming up soon that you're going to see that we reuse these sets over and over for these steampunk and vintage cards. So for this set, I am using Wherever You Go, and I'm going to be using the Sunburst, the Compass, and the Sentiment. Touches of Texture, I am going to be using these alphabet all kind of stacked on top of each other. And the, let me grab the other Touches of Texture. I'm also going to be using the Splatter. And then in Guy Greetings, I'm going to be using the Guy and the Hats. And then from my Traveler, I'm going to be using the Passport. So anyway, those are the sets that we're going to use. So we're going to go ahead, and I've already got my papers pre-cut, and we are using Crumb Cake for the card base, and it is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And then I have some Smoky Slate, and it is 3 3/4 by 5. And then I have some So Saffron, 2 3/4 by 3 3/4. I have a piece of Whisper White, 3 1/4. Wait, nope. This one is going to be, well, I guess I should just measure it really quickly for you so I can tell you exactly what it's going to be. It is 3 inches by 2 1/2 inches. Sorry about that. And then I have got some Dapper Denim, and it is 2 3/4 by 3 1/4. And I am going to round the corners, and I'll show you how I do that in just a few minutes. And then I have a piece of Craft, and it is going to be 1 3/4 by 1 1/2. I have a piece of Whisper White, and it is 3/4 of an inch by 2 3/4. And I have a piece of Very Vanilla that is 1 1/8 by 2 1/2. So let's go ahead and get started with our stamping, then we'll do our assembly. So the first thing that I want to do is I am going to grab my Splatter stamp from Touches of Texture. I'm going to put that onto a clear block. Get that pressed down, and then we are going to be using, I should tell you the ink colors we're going to be using. I have got Cajun Craze, Basic Gray, Crumb Cake, and then I also have Early Espresso, Basic Black, Dapper Denim, Peekaboo Peach, and a little bit, just a little color spot of Island Indigo. And those are the colors that we're going to be using. I know it seems like a lot, but that's kind of the whole idea of vintage and steampunk and collage, is lots of layers, lots of colors, and it just makes it a lot of fun. So first thing we're going to do, we have our card base here, and it again is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and it's Crumb Cake. And I'm going to lay it so that it opens this way. And then I'm just going to take my Early Espresso and my Splatter, and I'm just going to go ahead and randomly splatter it. Okay, that one is done. Also going to, while I've got my splatter out, might as well get all your stamping done with each stamp as you go. I'm going to pull out my Crumb Cake, and I am going to get my little strip of Whisper White, and it's the 3/4 by 2 3/4. Just going to give it a dip in the Crumb Cake, and then I am going to go ahead and just, again, randomly stamp, and of course it's stuck to it, and I'm going to get some splatter on there. Now I am going to go ahead and I am going to get my Smoky Slate, And I am going to pull out my touches of texture again, and this time I'm going to use this fun little one that is just a bunch of stacked alphabet letters. I'm going to go ahead and mount that on another clear block, and this time I'm going to use my basic gray, and I am going to again just randomly stamp. And I think it's good to know that you can stamp it twice, because I don't want everything the same color. I'm just going to stamp randomly. Like I said, it's not going to matter because some of it's going to be covered, but again, and that's how I want that to look. And it doesn't look that great, does it? Nope, it sure doesn't, because we're not done yet. And I think that is all that we need the gray for. So on to the next layer. Okay, got the So Saffron, and this time we're going to use Cajun Craze. And I'm going to grab my stamp set, and this one is from Wherever You Go. And it's a pretty good size stamp. I'm going to mount that on my bigger block. And I, again, am just going to kind of randomly stamp. And maybe angle it a little bit. Again, it's not going to matter. A lot of it's layered, but you just kind of want that look. And that's all I'm doing with that. Okay, so that layer is stamped. This layer does not get stamped. And now we're going to stamp our guy, and we're going to use the basic black using Guy Greetings. And actually we're going to do a couple. We're going to grab our Whisper White that's 3 by 2.5 and our Very Vanilla that's 1 1/8 by 2.5. We're going to want to get this stamp out of Wherever You Go, the sentiment, and out of Guy Greetings we of course want the guy. Actually, let's go ahead and get the hats too. So I'm going to pull out my guy, and I'm going to pull out my hats. All right, now we're going to go ahead, and the first thing I want to do, so I can show you, because I want to just ink and stamp all at the same time, I am going to take a piece of washi tape, and I'm going to show you this neat trick I learned at the on stage. I'm going to take my washi tape, and first of all I'm going to mount my hats onto my clear block like that, and I just want one row of hats, and you can choose whatever row you want. I want the bottom row. I'm going to take this washi tape, and I'm going to run this washi tape right over the top, over these, because when I ink them I don't want that top row on there. Now I'm going to get my basic black, and I'm going to go ahead and ink up my stamp. Okay, that's all inked up. Now before I stamp, here's our splattered one. I'm going to just pull this washi tape off, toss it in the garbage, and I am going to go ahead and just stamp those hats right on there. Isn't that great? Just the one set. I just love it. Now I'm going to use my Wherever You Go and my guy. I'm going to get him mounted. All right. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to use our basic black again. Let's get him out of the way. Make sure it's all inked up. And I am going to put him almost right in the middle. Give it a nice press, but don't rock it, and let it sit for a second so that your ink will kind of just sit right on there and look really nice when you're done, and you get a really nice image. And I'm going to set that aside, and then I'm going to do this because I've got one more with the black, and this is my sentiment, and I'm going to do it on this little piece of Very Vanilla. Go ahead, and we're going to do again the black. I don't know about you, but when I ink my stuff, I always double check and just make sure I have a nice coverage on my stamp so that I'm not having to do it a whole bunch of times. Love these clear ones because I can see where I'm going to set my sentiment, and I'm going to go ahead and Again, just hold it on there nice, give it a nice press. Don't rock it, you don't want edges. Let that soak in for just a second and you have a nice clear image. Now we are going to finish this guy up, and what we're going to do is we need the compass from wherever you go. So I'm going to grab the compass out and my clear block. And we want the passport from Traveler. Alrighty, now we're going to take, it'll mount right there, and I am going to get my crumb cake and going to just make sure it's inked up. Now you're going to notice that I'm not going to put the whole thing on. I'm just going to do a random. There we go. I'm going to take my compass, and I want that in the early espresso, and I'm going to again kind of do the same thing that I did with the passport, and I'm just going to off stamp it as well. Make sure it's inked well because you don't want to have done all this work. Again, don't rock it, and I want to just kind of place that right there, and up we come. Now, get out your blender pen. I don't know if you all have a blender pen, but if you don't, I highly recommend them. They are the best. Get your Peekaboo Peach, Cajun Craze, and your Island Indigo, and I've just got a little guy for that. It's going to work great. Now I've got my blender pen, and with my Peekaboo Peach, I am going to just touch the sides of my pen, and then I'm going to go off here a little bit because I don't really want him orange. I want him more flesh colored. So I'm going to just kind of come in here and run my blender pen over my image. And your black might run just a little bit, but you know what? It's okay because, again, this is kind of collage and steampunk, and I don't want it like super crisp and clear. I think that looks good. Now just clean my stamp or my blender pen off, and this is just kind of how I do, and you can see it's getting cleaner. And I'm going to go ahead and use my Cajun Craze because we're going to do his belt. Right, and then I'm going to do his boots. Or socks. They were a soft boot, I guess. And put that on there. And then I'm going to go, and I'm going to make it a little darker on the foot part of it, just because I want to. Okay, so now I got that done, and I'll go ahead and work on cleaning that end later. Not a big deal. It's easy to clean. And then I'm going to get my Island Indigo, and I'm going to come in, and we're just going to give him, I guess they're wrestling pants or tights, or I don't know what they call them, but we'll call them his wrestling pants. And we're going to go ahead and just mess with that until you get that kind of how you want it. I want to make this kind of a little darker right here because it's the, and then up here, just kind of, all right, and there you go. Now we are going to take from the Moroccan series, we're going to take this washi tape, and I'm just going to run a strip of the washi tape down this edge, just about. I just eyeball it. I don't need to measure it perfectly because I don't care that much. And I'm going to just give it a quick tear, lay it down, lay it down. All right. Now we're going to get busy and we're going to start layering. And I really like my Teflon mat for this. And I'm going to use Fast Fuse because I really like Fast Fuse. A lot of people don't. Soft touch, check mark, soft touch, check mark. And I have found softer your touch, the easier this stuff works. You get crazy with it, you press hard, it doesn't stick down as well. Now, we are not going to center this, but we are going to go up in more to this corner. So you can see what I'm doing, that it's not centered. It's going to go like that. Then I'm going to do the same thing with our So Saffron. Same thing. I want this one to go about like that. You see where I've got it kind of also layered the same way. And then I am going to go ahead and get out some Stampin' Dimensionals, because I'm going to lift a couple of these up off of my page. Stampin' Dimensionals are awesome for adding a little bit of pop. Okay, now let's go ahead and actually I'm going to set that there, and is what I wanted to show you is I'm going to round our corners of this just to give it a little interest. And you can use a corner rounder, but I have found that lately my favorite corner rounder, you're going to love this, is my envelope maker, my envelope punch board. I'm going to just stick this, and I'm only going to round the one side, the right side of the stamped image, and then one side of the blue. There you go. And there's your rounded edge, and you can make envelopes. So really, it's a win-win as far as I'm concerned. All right, now we're going to just fast fuse this one, or snail, or tear tape, whatever works best for you. And I'm going to be mailing this, so I kind of like to make sure it's going to stick well. And let's go ahead and we're going to just actually center this one as best you can. Again, eyeball it. I don't think you need to measure unless you want to. Okay, there we have that. I'm going to fast fuse the blue with our guy on it. And this one I am going to bring down, and I want it more about like that. You see what I did there? Got a little bit of my gray showing, but it's definitely down to the bottom. All right, Stampin' Dimensionals. We're going to get these little jewels, and I just do 2 on the back of that. And the first thing, I'm going to stick this down because it's hard once, well, it's not hard, but it's easier to do it this way. I'm going to kind of put this right. Let's do that there. And then I'm going to, got my dimensionals there, and I'm going to just line that up, center it as best I can, and give it a little tap. I'm going to put dimensionals on this strip that has the hats on it. I'm going to do 3 so it doesn't kind of collapse in the middle. And we're going to peel those backs off. Alrighty. And I just want to kind of line it up. Oh, let's do right there. All right, now if you want to get creative, like I did with mine, and if you have any spare gears or words or anything like that. Now, I don't sell these, but they're easy to find, and they're kind of fun to add, you know, or you can make your own. You could stamp some hats and make your own little embellishments, and I have these. I found a couple that said Brave and then Dream, and I got out some Tip Top Taupe ribbon here, and I am just going to cut a strip of it, and then I'm going to take this and I'm going to cut it right down the center. I'm going to thread it through my medallion. Just tie a quick knot. There's not a lot of nothing really tricky there. And I'm going to cut the excess off, and then I'm going to do the same thing with the other. And I should point out that, you know, I have some fine motor skill issues. I was hurt in a car wreck. It affected my brain, and so if you have some things that you really struggle with, don't feel bad, because you can still make it work. And that's what I love about stamping, is it is truly one of those things that you can do that you can really work with your hands and redo it. And the best thing is if it's, you know, if you ruin it, it's just a piece of paper, and you don't have to feel bad like I did when I ruined a cross stitch thing. I'm gonna stick a glue dot on there, stick it down, and another glue dot, stick that down, put that there, and there you go. There is your steampunk card using the sets that I showed you. Again, we used Guy Greetings, Traveler, Wherever You Go, and Touches of Texture. And isn't that a great card, and so easy and so much fun, and it really didn't take us that much time at all. I hope you join me again for my next steampunk card that we're going to do, and it is going to be using some of the same sets. I might throw a different one in just for fun, but I can't wait to have you join me for my next one. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you again at mypastorswifedesigns.com.